Hello, this is Andrine, a Jewish American priestess, and today we're coming in with a reading about our April Fool. Who's the Fool for April? I'm a Fool for April. As we move into this new month, we have 3 different Fool cards from 3 different tarot decks, and they're going to lead you into your reading today. So I'll flip those over, and then we'll put timestamps down below, and we'll take you into a reading where you can learn more about what the April Fool has to offer you this month. So first we have card number 1, which is from the Aquarian tarot deck, and this is your Fool. Card number 2 is from the Kalevala deck, and this is Fool number 2. And finally, from the Golden Botticelli deck, this is Fool number 3. So take a moment to decide which of these Fools is calling to you for a new beginning in this month of April, as we go also into the month of Nisan coming up pretty soon. And so we've got some new beginnings happening. We'll zoom in a little bit so you can see those. And then we'll see you in your separate reading. And I'll look forward to seeing you there. Hello, card number 1. Those of you who chose the Aquarian deck today, this is our Fool. And as you may know, the Fool card in the tarot is the number 0. And it represents that new beginning, stepping off in a direction maybe we don't know. The traditional Fool is usually stepping off of a cliff. He's got a little white dog with him usually as well. This one doesn't seem to have a dog with him, but he does have the white rose, which is again representing that purity and that innocence. And he has a staff over his shoulder, which generally has a bundle tied to it with all of his worldly possessions as he steps off into the void, not really knowing what's coming next. So this is your card today. We have that beautiful Fool. And we're going to pull out 3 Hebrunes and 3 Nordic Runes today to represent that new beginning for you. So let me give it a shuffle. So the first Hebrune coming out today is the letter Pe. Our second Hebrune is the letter Het. And our last Hebrune is the letter Kaf. And let's see what we have in terms of the Nordic runes as well today. At the top we have the letter Hagalaz. Oh, in the center, jumping out, is Sowilo. And at the bottom, we have the letter Berkana. Very nice. Okay, so at the top, on the Hebrew side, we have the letter Pe. And the letter Pe is the letter that means mouth. It's the mouth of the divine, speaking creation into existence. So very much a letter that speaks to new beginnings, speaking creation into existence. This mouth, which is all about communication and creation, it comes in the form of a spiral, which I love. It starts in the center and spirals out. And so to that end, it has this connotation of the infinite, spiraling infinitely in to the microcosm of the body and spinning infinitely out into all of the rest of the universe. And it is the number 80 in Gematria, so it speaks to that infinity loop, and 10 times that is this ultimate manifestation of the infinite being the divine itself, but also just all of space and time going out infinitely and infinitely in. And Pa'am, the word for time in Hebrew, starts with the letter Pe as well. It's about creation through speech. So speaking what you'd like to see in the world is up right now. This is the position in the top here of what is coming down from divinity. And so creating with words, being able to bless rather than curse, and speaking words of beauty into existence. I like that it's sort of a labyrinth almost, that you're following this, again, into the unknown like the Fool. And that is what's up right now in this reading for you. Meanwhile, over on the Nordic Runes side, we have the letter Hagalaz. And Hagalaz is the letter that means the chaos. It's the storm. It's this chaotic nature, the unknown again, but weather and nature not really being able to be controlled. And what's so cool about Hagalaz is that it can represent chaos, like we don't know what's happening and everything's kind of falling apart. But to recognize that you are also part of nature and that you have that power of the infinite and the unknown within you as well. I love this about Hagalaz. So Hagalaz is the hailstorm. So it's just hail pelting down again, and stones and disruption, wild power, disruptive weather, wraths of nature and uncontrolled forces. Again, perfect for the Fool because we don't know what's going to happen next. And again, remembering that you too are part of nature and that you have the power within you to become the storm. And that takes away, in some ways, that fear or the power that comes with that hailstorm as it comes down. So that's what's up right now for you, is this idea of the hailstorm and speaking into existence what you'd like to see. In the center of our reading, we have the position of what is a fear or a challenge right now. And on the Hebrew side, we have the letter Chet. Chet is the letter that represents Chai, meaning life, and also Choshek, meaning darkness. So this contradiction between what is giving life and what is darkness. And for a Fool who's stepping off into the world, that makes sense, that we might be a little afraid of what life is going to throw at us, and we might be a little afraid of the darkness that comes. But Chet is also about contracts and covenants and making agreements and arrangements. So Chet, you'll see, it looks a little bit like a marriage canopy, a chuppah. So it's about connection and contracts with another person, or with the divine, or just with yourself. And Chet is also the number 8, so the infinite again. We have the 80 at the top, and we have the 8 here with the infinite again. And I believe the Fool is one of those cards that also has that meaning of the infinite. It's got the 0 on the top. It's stepping off, that stepping off place of the unknown and the infinite, going infinitely forward and maybe infinitely backward as well. The number 8 represents the infinite, not only because of that infinity loop symbol, but because there are 7 days of creation. And the 8th day is one more than all of creation, so that represents the infinite. The Chet also is the foundation of speech within the Sefer Yetzirah, so bringing us back up to speaking what we'd like to see into existence with the Pei. So Chet here is the fear that we might have, the challenge we might have with the contracts and covenants that we are making right now in the world, that fear of what life is going to throw at us, and also the darkness that may come. And maybe even just fear about speaking, being confident in being able to say what we need to say. But know that the infinite is here twice in this reading so far for you. And then over on the left side with the Nordic runes, we have Sowilo. Sowilo is source energy. It represents the sun. So what's scary about the sun is the question, I guess. Sowilo looks like this, and it's the sun, and it's about source energy and guidance. I guess there's a fear or a challenge around believing that the infinite is here with you, or being overwhelmed, maybe being burned out by the sun, being burned by the sun. It's usually a very positive rune about awareness and hope and goals being achieved and the good guidance of the divine. But because it's in the position of what's a fear or a challenge here, maybe again, we're afraid that we don't have the infinite with us, or that we will be overwhelmed by what's coming at us with this hailstorm and the Hagalaz here. Totally understandable. Again, stepping off into the unknown like the Fool does. And our outcome here at the bottom is the letter Kaf. It's the palm of the hand of the divine who is lifting us up and maybe shading us over with their palm. So if we're afraid of the sun or the hailstorm, the Shekhinah is here, lifting us up and sheltering us with the palm of her hand. The Kaf is the first letter of the word koach, meaning power. So it's also the first letter of the word keter, meaning crown. So there's sovereignty here. There's power coming to you as you step off into your journey in this coming month of April. It's about giving and receiving, being able to give in appropriate measure and receive also, asking for what you need rather than just being afraid of not getting it. And it is the letter that represents the sun in the sky. It's the letter that rules over the sun in the sky. So we have the fear here with the Soilo on the left side, but the sun coming out and giving us power, giving us that sovereignty, giving us the ability to give and receive in equal measure, and also being sheltered by the divine here with the Kaf. I love that. It's really beautiful. And then on the left side, what we have on the Nordic runes is Berkana. Berkana represents the birch tree which represents birth and new beginnings. So what a beautiful reading. The birch is being born. It's starting again. So after the storm, after the fear of not feeling the divine in your presence, you have a new birth, again, with the Fool, with the Zero card. Being able to speak right now what you would like to see in the world, imagining it and speaking it, blessing what you have, even if it's a hailstorm, even if it's stones dropping from the sky, bless that. If we run into challenges around covenants or connections, or if we have fear of the dark or fear of life itself, if we're afraid that the divine and the infinite, who is here twice, is not with us, know that in the end, we'll have a new beginning that will be sheltered over by the divine, that will have that power coming in, that sovereignty, that our Fool's journey is just starting off, and it's a beautiful journey. And whatever is coming for you in this month of April, those of you chose the Aquarian deck Fool, it's a gorgeous, gorgeous reading. Step into your power. Know that you are the storm, that you can weather through this, and a new beginning will come for you in the end. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you here next time. Hello, card number 2. So the card you chose is the Fool from the Kalevala deck. It also says Lemminkainen on it. Lemminkainen is one of the characters in the Finnish mythology, the Kalevala. And he is known as sort of he's a fool for sure. He's somebody who's always traveling, he's always getting himself into trouble, and he's always doing some kind of foolish thing. He's very much a hero with great passions, but he's also rather chaotic in his way. So he represents that living in the moment, sort of, without really thinking about the consequences of the actions. And you'll notice that he does have that bindle stiff here with his bag on the staff, and he's about to step off the cliff, and he's got, instead of a dog, it looks like he's got a sort of a dragony lizard thing. So he's heading off on his journey of foolishness, possibly making some questionable decisions along the way, but having a good time in the midst of it. So we're going to pull out some Hebrunes and some Nordic runes today to further illuminate your Fool situation for the April Fool that is coming in right now. And so we're going to pull out 3 Hebrunes on one side and 3 Nordic runes on the other side. So here's our Hebrunes. On the top we have the letter Gimel, very nice. In the center we have the letter Het. And at the bottom we have the letter Yud. Let's take some Nordic runes. Ooh, they're loud. At the top we have Berkana. In the center we have Isa. And at the bottom, Manas. All right, so at the very top of our reading on the Hebrunes side, we have the letter Gimel. I'm going to say this is lovely because Gimel is the letter that means a foot walking forward. You can see the Fool is about to step off this cliff. So it's about travel, moving forward, being on the move, running forward. In fact, this is the swifter of the movement letters that we have, but running oftentimes toward justice, and also this idea of the number 3. It's the 3 in gematria, so it has a certain amount of stability to it. It has the 3 creation elements affiliated with it of fire, air, and water. And all things 3, like a tripod, something that is in harmony or in some kind of stability. Gimel also is reminiscent of the Garden of Eden. It's the Gan Eden, starts with Gimel. And it has this binary transformation of peace and evil, or let's say wholeness and brokenness. The Gimel is this transformation of wholeness, which is to say shalom, peace, to something that might be considered wicked or broken. And how do we balance that? Where are we on that continuum between that which is whole and that which is broken? And Lemminkainen here, the Fool, as he steps off toward on his path, is stepping towards something. Is it peace or is it evil? He has to make that choice. This is one of the choice point letters that we have here. And Gimel also represents or rules over the planet Jupiter in the sky. Jupiter, which is Tzedek in Hebrew, Tzedek, which means justice. So Jupiter is the largest of the planets in our solar system, so it's something really big. Stepping off towards some big adventure is what I'm seeing here with the Fool of Lemminkainen, and having to make a choice. Which direction are you going to go? Is it toward peace or is it toward evil? Is it whole or is it broken? And you get to decide while you're on your path. But that's where we are right now on this reading for you, stepping off. Exactly that. On the Nordic Runes side, we have Berkana, which is the birch tree. And it is the beginning. It's birth. It's new beginnings. It's exactly that same idea, Berkana, of stepping off in the direction of something big and new, planting, not a seed exactly. This is actually the birth. This is the growth of the thing. It's the birch goddess, Berkana. She is about new beginnings, renewal, birth and rebirth, spring and fertility. As we step into April, that seems perfect because we are in this birth and green season of newness. So both sides, you've got this stepping off quality of newness and birth coming in. On the Hebrew side in the center, the center piece is the place where we are talking about our fears or our challenges on the way. And we have the letter Chet. Chet is the letter which begins the word Chai, meaning life. And it also begins the word Choshek, meaning darkness. And Choshek is the first word in Torah that uses the Chet. So it's a very important word. And darkness is essential for seeing the light. So with that binary transformation in the Gimel of peace and evil, we have this idea of life and darkness, and they both exist within the Chet. Chet also looks like a marriage canopy, which is a chuppah. Chuppahs are all about connections with another, contracts and covenants that one might make with another person or with the divine or with yourself. So there may be some fear around some kind of connection, some kind of contract that you've made or are going to make with yourself, with the divine, with another human. So maybe there's some challenges around a relationship of some sort, that there was life and now it's looking dark. And there's fear around how do we move forward with that. And the Chet is the number 8 in Gematria, so it also corresponds to the infinite. That the 8 has got that infinity loop shape to it. But also, Chet is, being number 8, is one more than 7, 7 being the number of days of creation in our story. So there's this 7 days of creation, they've come to an end, and then what? The infinite happens next. The infinite life comes after the 7 days of creation. Life and darkness again, because every day has its light and its darkness. So you may be challenged right now with this concept of the infinite. You may be challenged about what's next now that we've stepped off on our journey. You may be challenged with a contract or a covenant that you've made or are considering making with yourself, with the divine, with another person. So that's what's up right now on the Hebrunes side. And interestingly, on the Nordic Runes side, we have the letter Isa. And Isa is the letter that means ice. And ice is about a standstill. So you're setting off and you're afraid of stopping. You're afraid of freezing up. You're afraid of not knowing what to do, maybe coming to a standstill. It is the standstill. It is the stillness through which clarity comes like ice. So ideally, if you do have to stop or come to a place of standstill for a moment, know that it is there to illuminate for you whatever it is your path might be. But it can be scary to have to stop once you've started. So that's there for you coming in the month of April, this fear of the ice, this challenge with stopping once you've started. But you may need to in order to see what the next step is, so that you're not just stepping off into the void, stepping over the cliff. You may need to stop for a moment and pause and see what the next step is. Don't be afraid of it. It's a challenge, but it doesn't have to be a fear. Then on the Hebrew side, our outcome letter is the letter Yud, and Yud is the letter that is the smallest of all the letters. It's a seed, it's an atom, it's a sperm. It's this tiny one point down into which the divine has contracted themselves in order to burst forth into the universe. So there's some kind of seed that's coming, some kind of seed that's being planted that represents new growth. The Yud is also the first letter of the divine name Yud-He Vav-He, the unpronounceable name, which means becoming. So there's this potential for becoming that is here after you've stepped forward, after you've wrestled with the contract or commitment that you've made. Then this seed is planted and becoming is there. It's got all the potential for all the other seeds. It's one seed that can plant a tree that may bear fruit that then would have, again, hundreds and hundreds of seeds coming out of it. So the Yud here at the end is saying something new. Some seed is being planted. It's also the foundation of sexuality. So again, that idea of a sperm or something that has the potential for growth, the potential for creation here. And that's a beautiful outcome for the Fool as he steps off on the journey here. Even though he may be making some foolish choices along the way, the potential for growth is here. And on the Nordic Runes side, we have Manas, and Manas is humanity. It's your place in the song of humanity. What is your note in the song? How do you interact with others along the route? And this is a letter that you can see. It looks like two of the letter Wunyo facing each other. So it's like facing each other with joy. And it brings us to this humanity, this finding our place, finding our way that we fit into the entire picture. What is the color of our paintbrush that paints on that canvas? What is the thread that is woven into the tapestry of all that is to come? And you get to discover that as you step off on your journey. And I think this is a beautiful reading for those of you who chose it, even though Lemminkainen can be a kind of a fool and making some questionable choices along the way. You are stepping off. You're having a new beginning with Berkana, with the springtime here. You're setting out, and you have to make some choices. You have to make some good choices, ideally, between what is healthy, what is whole, and what is broken. When you come into this position of fear between what's life got to throw at me or what darkness is coming my way, know that you still get to make those choices. They're not just being set out for you. You have to decide whether to step off. But the infinite is here as well. And although it might be frightening, it's worthy of embracing. There may be a fear about standstill, about coming to a stop once you've started. But know that that ice is the clarity that will show you the way to step forward next, so that you're not foolishly leaping off of a cliff. And in the end, you get a potential, you get the seed, you get that one point that from which all creation bursts forth. So that's beautiful. And you get to discover your place in humanity as you step forward and start interacting with others on your path. And I think that's a lovely reading for those of you who chose the Fool from the Kalevala deck, Lemminkainen. So as you step off into April, know that it's going to be successful in the end and that the challenges are surmountable. So enjoy your month, and we will see you here next time. Welcome, card number 3, those of you who chose the Fool from the Golden Botticelli deck. Let's take a closer look at your Fool. This is a painting of someone who looks rather disturbed, and he has this little white dog, as the Fool often does, sniffing at his foot. He looks like he's hiding from unseen forces or demons, and it has all the languages here. The Fool, el loco, il matto, le fou, der nar, de dois. So all the different languages of how to say the Fool. And it's interesting because it says el loco in Spanish, which is the insane person. So, Fool is a relative term, and you have to decide how you're going to define that for yourself. The Fool is wearing a blue garment, which represents the celestial, but underneath you can see he's wearing a reddish garment, which represents the corporeal in most of these ancient paintings. And like I said, he looks quite disturbed. Hopefully your April will not be nearly as disturbed as this Fool appears to be. But let's pull out some Hebrunes and some Nordic runes to go with it, to give us a little picture of what that might look like for you. I'm going to shuffle these up in my ceramic hands here. That's the one that goes at the top, apparently, and it's the letter He. Oh boy, they're just jumping out. The center, we have the letter Tet. And at the bottom, we have the letter Kaf. On the Nordic Runes side, they're a little bit louder. At the top, we have the letter Wunyo. In the center, the letter Sowilo. And at the bottom, the letter Algis. Very nice. All right, starting at the top on the Hebrunes side, we have the letter He, and the letter He is the letter that means Hineni. It's the first letter of the word Hineni, which is the words meaning here I am, presence, being present, staying present. So the letter He often has this connotation of availability for service. Hineni means here I am ready and willing to do whatever it is the divine is calling me to do. And the Fool, some may consider that a foolish endeavor, that to say, I am here for you, divine, do with me what you will. But it's the answer that people give to the divine when their name is called in Torah. When they hear their name, they say, Hineni, here I am ready for service. And that can be a little disturbing. But ideally, being present, remaining present will be the thing that will help you in this upcoming month. He is also the letter that corresponds to the sense of sight in the Sefer Yetzirah. So once one says, Hineni, here I am ready for service, then we get to see what it is that we are supposed to do. And this fellow in the card appears like he's seeing something that no one else can see, which is maybe a good thing, but it can also be a little disturbing and difficult. The He is the number 5 in Gematria, so it has this connotation of the 5 fingers on the hand, so it has to do with artistry and using our hands for service. Also, the 5 levels of the soul are connoted in this letter. It is 2 of the 4 letters of the divine name, the Yud He Vav He. Being present is incredibly important in becoming who you are supposed to be. The Yud He Vav He, which is that contraction of the past, present, and future verb to be. So remaining present is incredibly important here. to step out onto your journey. The hay is affiliated with the month of Nisan, which is coming up just in a week or so. That is the new year of the kings in the Hebrew, and it's the year that we celebrate Passover and liberation from slavery. Constellation of Aries is affiliated with the hay. So this is this time of year. This letter corresponds to right now in the calendar, and is telling us that it's important to remain present right now in this moment as we step forward onto this fool's journey into the month of April. On the Nordic Runes side, we have the letter of Unio, which is a wonderful place to start. It is the letter that means joy. And so it is telling you that this is a time for joy as we step off into the spring months. Hold that up so you can see it. Unio looks like this, and it is this idea of harmony, life, well-being, prosperity, and self-worth. So if you have been feeling down and not worthy, as it might be that this fool appears to be a little bit frightened, know that joy will help you through right now. This is the time where we are in increasing joy in the month of Adar, that we've been in 2 Adars, in fact, that we have been increasing in joy for 2 months now because we had this leap month this year. And we're about to head into Passover, which is that liberation time. So joy is where we're at in Adar, and we're about to move into Nisan right here with the hay. This letter wants to run away. So this is a place of joy right now, and a place of presence right now as we're setting off on the journey. On the Hebrew side, in the center position, the position of what is our fear or challenge right now, we have the letter Tet. And Tet is the letter that is a vessel or a basket. You can see it looks a little bit like a container of some sort of cup. It's sometimes seen as a womb space. And it is the number 9, so it has this connotation of the 9 months of gestation in the human body. So there's a pregnancy here. So this fear or challenge right now for the Fool is the waiting. It's that waiting for something to be born, this gestation time. And also it's the first letter of the word Tov, Tov meaning good. So maybe we're afraid that whatever's coming does not have goodness within it. There's also this connotation of a snake here. It looks a little bit like a curled up snake, sometimes a snake in a basket, or a coil like a basket which looks like a snake. And that snake is something that's about transformation and renewal, shedding its skin. It's an ancient symbol of the goddess as well. So renewal and pregnancy and birth that is coming is potential here. So, but it's in this position of fear or challenge. So the Fool in this card is afraid. He's afraid of the snake. They're afraid of the transformation that's taking place, maybe afraid to shed that skin. It's interesting. It almost looks like he's shedding that cloak, that celestial cloak, and becoming who he is underneath. But there's a fear around it for sure. And the fear of how long might this take? Is it going to take a full 9 months for me to transform? Is the divine here with me as I sit here with this gestation? And is there goodness in the end of it? So a lot of concerns and fear here. And you'll see over on the Nordic Runes side, we have the letter Sowilo in that position of fear or challenge. The Sowilo, which means source energy. So again, the goddess, the divine. It's the sun in Nordic mythology. And it's also that source energy because the sun is what gives us life on this planet. So the fear here is the divine here with me? Is something good coming from this? Are those voices I'm hearing as I sit in presence coming from the divine, or is it some other source? And there's a fear also because it is the sun. The sun is incredibly powerful. Is it going to burn me? Will I become burned out by having too much light in my life? Am I getting the guidance that I need? Will my hopes be achieved? So Sowilo has a lot of really positive connotations, but because it's in this position of the fear or challenge, we're concerned in this card about whether the divine is here with us and whether those goals, those victories, that honor that maybe is coming to us, the idea of the sun shining down on us with benevolence, is that coming for us? And that's a valid concern. On the Hebrews side, in our position of the final letter, we have the letter Kaf. And the letter Kaf is representative of the palm of a hand. And it is the letter that begins the word koach, which means power. So power is coming here. And keter, which is crown. So there's this concept of sovereignty and power that is coming through the gestation. Power and sovereignty is coming. It's the letter, because it's the palm of a hand, about giving and receiving. Can we give appropriately what it is we are supposed to give and receive back what it is that we need? Can we ask for what we need rather than just giving and giving until there's nothing left? It's also the letter, because it's the palm of a hand, it's sometimes seen as the palm of the Shekhinah, lifting us up and holding us up along our journey, and or guiding us and protecting us with their palm of the hand. The Kaf is the letter that represents the sun in the sky. So we have the sun over here in the position of fear or challenge on the Nordic Runes side. And on this side, that sun is shining down, giving us life-giving power. And still, the Shekhinah is sheltering us with her hand so that we don't get burned. So the promise here is at the end, we will have that power, that sovereignty, the shelter of the divine as well. And on the Nordic Rune side, what do we have? We have the alges. Alges, which represents the elk, the antlers. It looks like an antler. The elk, or the elk sedge, and it is all about protection. It is about awakening and defense and connection with the divine. It's the elk rune that says you are protected. You are protected, and you have inner protection as well. So although, again, we have concern about the sun is here again, and the divine is sheltering us. We are protected. So all of this is a beautiful reading for the month of April. Stay present right now. Lean into your joy. If you have concerns about the goodness of the gestation of what is coming or the transformation that you have to go through, if you have concerns about whether the divine is here with you and whether the sun will burn you, be reassured that the sun is here to give you the energy you need, to give you the power that you need, and the divine's hand is sheltering you and protecting you on both sides. So for those of you who chose the Fool from the Golden Botticelli deck, this is your reading for the month of April. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed giving it to you, and I hope to see you here next time.